Welcome back to Nobody's Safe. Nobody's safe, nobody's safe. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you're definitely in the right place. So don't forget to smash that subscriber button. Make sure to like our videos and do not forget to ring that bell so you do not miss one moment of the Nobody's Safe podcast. We are making some changes to our college football previews. We got through the first few using ESPN's rankings, and turns out these rankings are trash. Mississippi State and Tennessee are neither ranked by either other poll, including the AP. And the last video we did on Oregon, they had them ranked at number 23. The AP came out yesterday and they had them ranked at number 11. I was getting ready to do Baylor, thinking they were ranked at number 22. They have them ranked at 10 in the Associated Press poll. So screw the ESPN rankings. We're going to go with this. We're going to do it a little bit different. And in fact, we're going to just, what we're going to do is we're going to break down the four presumptive best teams in the Big 12 and then do a full-on Big 12 preview, kind of highlighting some of the other teams that may have a chance. So we're going to start off with the defending champions, Dave Aranda, third-year head coach of the Baylor Bears, the conference champion from a year ago, who turned it around from 2-7 in his first season to a amazing 12-2 record last season, win over Oklahoma, win over Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship game, and then a Sugar Bowl victory as well over 9th-ranked Ole Miss. What a major turnaround for Aranda and the Bears, and looks like they may be very, very good again. And Dave Aranda, I mean, this guy has proven to be some kind of coach, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. I know that, having looked at, watched him quite a bit a year ago, particularly in that game against Oklahoma, he exposed Lincoln Riley and his play calling. The game wasn't aside from Caleb Williams, trying the best that he could, they really were dominated in that game, and it just looked like as the year went on, that defense got stronger and stronger. This year they are returning 7 starters on each side of the ball that played at least or started at least 6 games a year ago. Had significant time on offense. It's pretty much though going to be just along that offensive line is 4 of those guys, including big offensive tackle Connor Galvin, big guy. He is the offensive tackle. But Blake Shapen is taking over for Gary Bohannon. This is a team that lost their biggest producers on offense in Abram Smith and Treston Ebner, running backs who are both in NFL training camps this season after combining for about 2,600 yards from scrimmage a year ago. But Gary Bohannon relied heavily on the running game and really lacked a downfield threat. He wasn't great with the ball, throwing it down the field. And in the times that it kind of was a lacking thing for the Bears a year ago, that they just weren't explosive throwing the ball down the field. That was enough for, obviously, Shapen got to play extensively in the last couple of games, particularly in the Big 12 championship game after Baylor had lost during the regular season to Oklahoma State. Shapen, of course, started that Big 12 championship game following the loss to the Cowboys in the first time that they played last season. He ended up going 23 for 28 with 180 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game as they held off the number 5 Cowboys 21-16, really kind of by the skin of their teeth in that game. But it was enough for Dave Aranda to tell Bohannon that they were going to go with Shapen this season, in enough time for him to find a suitable place to transfer to, in which he did. He's going to be at South Florida this season. But having lost Ebner and Smith to the NFL, along with Tyquan Thornton, who is just burning it up with the New England Patriots in camp so far this season, just really impressing everybody there. There's just really not a lot of production coming back. In fact, the only skill player with significant production aside from Shapen was tight end Ben Sims, who was second on the team in receiving touchdowns a year ago with 6. Other than that, you have Josh Fleeks, who had just 3 carries a year ago as a running back and caught 7 balls for 80 yards. Aside from that, you really just don't have a lot of production coming back. You do have Gavin Holmes, which is a 6-year senior receiver who has the most experience of any receiver on the squad right now. He, of course, is coming off of back-to-back ACL injuries in the last 2 seasons, but he has 44 career receptions to go with 3 touchdowns. What they're looking, and it's not, as of right now, apparently in camp, they've been struggling with injuries along that part to the point that, Holmes, along with Seth Jones, who had just 1 reception a year ago, have been running with the first team in camp, and then a redshirt freshman in walk-on in Josh Cameron is also running with the ones with that banged up receiving core. Shapen, though, looks like he's going to be a solid player. He ended up with completing more than 72% of his passes last season. He only had 86 pass attempts overall, but most of those, and they were all in that last 3 games of the season, all 3 wins. They won 20-10 over Kansas State, held off Texas Tech 27-24, and then, of course, winning that conference championship game 21-16 over Oklahoma State. But he had 137, 254, and 180 yards in those 3 games. Just ended up with 86 attempts, but he completed 72% of his passes, had 5 touchdowns and no interceptions in that time. So they're looking for him to really step up this season and give them a little more of that down the field threat that they have lacked, obviously under Gary Bohannon. Defensively, despite losing half of their secondary, I believe that, Dave Aranda's actually even said that he expects that core of returners that have at least 6 starts, mostly along that defensive line, to continue to be the strength of this team. He thinks and in fact, he even said that the Bears defense may be better than it was a year ago. That remains to be seen. That was a tough defense a year ago, but you do have guys coming back like, obviously, you got Dylan Doyle at middle linebacker. He was second on the team in tackles, and then along that defensive line with Gabe Hall and Siaki Ika. These guys are big and nasty, and they're getting it done in the way that the SEC was doing it, or Aranda was doing it in the SEC at LSU when he was the defensive coordinator there. They are wanting to be a little more explosive offensively, but and possibly that should probably happen if Shapen comes out and looks the way that he did in limited time a year ago. Honestly, this is a team that you kind of expect to have another solid season. I could definitely see them in the mix for the Big 12 championship again. It's definitely not a given. I think that Oklahoma State is going to be returning. They're returning some guys. Their defense is not going to be what it was a year ago. But I feel like Iowa State is going to be primed, even though that they've got some newcomers at quarterback, running back. They've got some offensive newcomers, but defensively they're going to be right where they always are. And I feel like that they're a solid team. Oklahoma has, even under first-year coach Brent Venables, they are primed to, do what they did, 6 years in a row and winning that Big 12 championship. Obviously, it's going to take a plethora of newcomers with the departure of Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, a lot of these other guys that transferred after his departure a year ago. Still, I would probably have the Bears as the favorite right now. Vegas doesn't seem to. I'm looking at their schedule coming up this season. It's actually, it's kind of a tough slate. You know, their guaranteed wins are going to be Albany and Texas State, but game 2 right off the bat on September 10th, they got to go to Provo, play BYU, a team that they, you know, had to hold on against a year ago at home. BYU, I think they kind of feel like they would like to be in the Big 12 this year, but I know that they've been talking a lot about that this might be their best team in a long time. That remains to be seen. That big game, that's they're number 25 in the AP rankings. Then they have that rematch with Oklahoma State at home on the 1st of October, and then they will travel to Norman to face the Sooners on November 5th. Those are their biggest games. Obviously, they're all big, but Iowa State, they're going to go on the road for that one on September 24th as well. You know, you're looking at the schedule. You know, they also, as I said, Texas State on the 17th of September, Iowa State the week after that, then Oklahoma State at West Virginia, which could be a tough game, but should be winnable. I would think that Kansas at home, they should win that easily. Texas Tech is, you know, they had trouble with them a year ago. They've got a new coach, new system, and it's a coach that knows Aranda pretty well. He was his assistant head coach a year ago. They have to get them on the road before the week after that, going to Norman to face Oklahoma on November 5th. They do get Kansas State, an upstart Kansas State team at home the week after that. And they close the season with a home game against TCU, who they 0-1-2, and then at Texas on November 25th. Looking at it myself, I feel like this is still a solid. I mean, Dave Aranda has done nothing but show that he is some kind of a coach, and to turn it around from 2-7, I have a hard time thinking that they're going to go from 12 wins down to 7 wins. I think that this win total is begging for the over. I would see that. I mean, at worst, I feel like they win 8 games. I really think they're probably more like a 9-10 win team. So 7.5, it's a no-brainer to take the over on that. I would do that all day long. In fact, I am making that bet myself. I definitely feel like this is a strong contender again to go back to back. They haven't ever done it in the past. It looks to me as if Dave Aranda has really shown his chops here. We'll see how long they get to keep him around at Baylor, but he's looked good so far. I would definitely take the over on that, and I expect him to compete. You know, thanks a lot. We will come up the next one we're gonna do here. We will be doing we're going to take a look at Oklahoma next, Oklahoma State and Texas, and then we will do a full Big 12 conference preview as well coming up here in the coming days. So stick with us, and hey, but while you're at it, hey, you know, I want to know what you guys think. I mean, this seems to be kind of one of those years. It could be a toss-up a little bit. I do believe that Baylor's probably one of the favorites, but tell us who you think is going to be the Big 12 champion at the end of the season. Get on our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/HOF media. And we have a poll there. If you jump on there, vote in the poll, and then sign up for our mailing list, you might win 2 tickets to the Big 12 championship game. That's a giveaway that we're doing there. Jump on that Patreon page at the address that you see there. We'll also have it in the description. Hey, 2 free tickets to the game. Couldn't hurt. Check it out. Thanks, guys.